welcome back to the Trading Post. It's me and the star of the show, Big Man Noodle. Tell him, Noodle. Tell him what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about tree ants. Okay? If you've seen Lord of the Rings, it's like the walking trees and things like that. So we do have a supposed encounter of something of the sort. You let us know whether you think it was or it wasn't one. And then we're going to go ahead and go into the history and the lore of the tree ants, right? And we're going to talk about like tree beard and the tree ants. So, hang tight. It might be interesting. Tell them, Noodle. Hang tight for us. Tell them it's going to be good, right? All right, buddy. All right, y'all. As I previously said, we're going to talk about the tree ants, all right? This is episode 38. We're going to go ahead and jump straight into it. We had a supposed tree ant encounter. At least they're not quite claiming that's what it was, but they said it looked like a tree. So let's go ahead and go into this encounter. See what you guys think. Comment down below. Let us know what you think, whether it was or it wasn't. Okay, now this fella had a comment on a thing that I happened to see. And it said they have a 100-plus-year-old miner's cabin in the pines of the Bradshaw Mountains off the grid at 7,400 foot. 2 years ago, my son and I were going there on a Forest Service road and came across something that looked like a fallen tree across the road. We stopped, thinking we would either pull it out of the way or chainsaw it. It was 3 foot in front of my Hummer's bumper. When we were getting out, when under its own power, it swiftly and quickly went down the mountain. This was not a snake. It telescoped into itself. That's weird. Telescoped into itself? I don't know. It looked like a tree without branches. Okay, so it was like a tree trunk then. Without the branches. And took up the width of the road. It was 3 foot round at one end, and the other was blunt. It was daytime and clear. My son wanted to investigate, but with how big and fast it was, I thought better not. We pack for wildlife and bear, not for that. Any ideas what we saw? So what do you guys think? If you guys have an idea what you think they saw, throw it down in the comments below. I mean, hey, let's get it going. Now that encounter is out of the way, okay, but before we finish up on that, what do you think? What are your thoughts on it telescoping into itself and swiftly moving down the mountain? What in the heck could it have been? I mean, do you think it was like a multi-dimensional being? Do you think it was, some kind of alien creature or something? I don't know. I'm just throwing out some ideas there. Y'all let me know. All right, now, the tree ant or tree beard or tree beard we're going to talk about. Now, the Ents are giant humanoids in J.R.R. Tolkien's fantasy world of Middle-earth who closely resemble trees. Their leader is Treebeard of Fangorn Forest. Their name is derived from an Old English word for giant. Now, other names they've been known by is Onodrim, shepherds of the trees, or tree folk. Okay, never heard of them. The creation date was the First Age. That's what they're saying. The home world is Middle-earth, and the base of operations is Fangorn Forest. Now, the language is called Entish. The leader was Treebeard. Now, the tree ants appear in the Lord of the Rings as ancient shepherds of the forest and allies of the free peoples of Middle-earth during the War of the Ring. Now, the tree ant who figures most prominently is in the book is Treebeard, who is called the oldest creature in Middle-earth. At that time, there are no young tree ants or entings because the tree ant wives or female tree ants were lost. Now, akin to tree ants are Hurons, whom Treebeard describes as a transitional form of trees which become animated, or conversely, as tree ants who grow tree-like over time. Now, Tolkien stated that he was disappointed by Shakespeare's handling of the coming of Great Burnham Wood to high Dunsinane Hill. He wanted a setting in which the trees would actually go to war. Commentators have seen this as wish fulfillment, as he disliked the damage being done to the English countryside in his lifetime. Scholars have seen his tale of the tree ants as a myth, mostly without analyzing it. Now, Corey Olson interprets the Song of the Tree Ants and the Entwives as a myth that warns of the dangers of apathetically isolating oneself in nature, whereas the tree ant song, or the ant song in the willow meads of Tessaranen is a lament. Inspired by Tolkien and similar traditions, animated or anthropomorphic tree creatures appear in a variety of media and works of fantasy. Treebeard, called by Gandalf the oldest living tree ant and the oldest living thing that walks in Middle-earth, is described as being around 14 feet tall or 4 meters tall, man-like, almost troll-like, and clad in something that might have been tree bark, with 7 toes, a bushy, almost twiggy beard, and deep, penetrating eyes. Tree ants vary widely in personal traits, height, heft, and coloring, even the number of toes, having come to resemble somewhat the specific types of trees that they shepherded. Quickbeam, for example, guarded rowan trees and bore some resemblance to rowans, tall and slender, smooth-skinned, with ruddy lips and a gray-green hair. Some tree ants, such as Treebeard, were like beech trees or oaks. But there were other kinds. Some recalled the chestnut, brown-skinned tree ants with large splay-fingered hands and short, thick legs. Some recalled the ash, tall, straight gray tree ants with many fingered hands and long legs. Some of the fir, the tallest tree ants, and others the birch and the linden. Tree ants are somewhat tree-like with extraordinarily tough skin. They can erode stone rapidly, but are vulnerable to fire and axe strokes. They are patient and cautious, with a long sense of time. They consider a 3-day deliberation hasty. Now, tree ants are tall and very strong, capable of tearing apart rock and stone when roused. Now, Tolkien describes them as tossing great slabs of stone about and ripping down the walls of Isengard like bread crust. Treebeard boasted of their strength to Merry and Pippin. He said that tree ants were much more powerful than trolls, which Morgoth made in the first age in mockery of tree ants as orcs were of elves. Now, let's talk about the first age, okay? You guys, we're going to go through this, and then we can discuss a little bit about this. The first age. Now, Tolkien wrote almost nothing of the early history of the tree ants. After the dwarves were put to sleep by Eru to await the coming of the elves, the Vala Aiul told his wife Yavanna, the lover of all things that grow in the earth of the dwarves. She replied, "They will delve in the earth, and the things that grow and live upon the earth they will not heed. Many a tree shall feel the bite of their iron without pity." She went to Manwë and appealed to him to protect the trees, and they realized that tree ants, too, were part of the song of creation. Yavanna then warned Aiole, now let thy children beware, for there shall walk a power in the forests whose wrath they will arouse at their peril. The tree ants are called the shepherds of the trees. Much later, when Beren and a force of green elves waylay the force of dwarves returning from the sack of Doriath, the dwarves are routed and scatter into the wood, where the shepherds of the trees ensure that none escape. Tree ants did not know how to speak until the elves taught them. That's pretty interesting, huh? That's a cool concept, I think. I'd like to see a movie about that, like how that whole concept started, right? He got a whole backstory on this. Now, Treebeard said that the elves cured us of dumbness, calling that a great gift that could not be forgotten. At that time, much of Eriador was forested. Elrond stated that a squirrel could go from tree to tree from what is now the Shire to Dunland, west of Isengard. Okay, I don't know how far distance that is. Y'all have to look into that maybe. I don't know. Maybe I can try and get a map or something, put it on there. I don't know. Now we're going to talk about the Entwives. Now the Entwives, or tree Entwives, began to move farther away from the tree ants because they liked to plant and control things, while the tree ants preferred forests and liked to let things take their natural course. The Entwives, or tree Entwives, moved away to what became the Brown Lands across the great river Anduin. Although the male tree ants still visited them, the Entwives, or tree Entwives, interacted with men and taught them the art of agriculture. The gardens of tree Entwives were destroyed by Sauron, and the Entwives disappeared. It was sung by the elves that one day the tree ants and the tree Entwives would find each other. Treebeard, indeed, implored the hobbits to send word to him if they had news of the tree Entwives. Tolkien spent much time considering the fate of the tree Entwives, stating in letters number 144, I think that in fact the tree Entwives have disappeared for good, being destroyed with their gardens in the War of the Last Alliance. Some may have fled east, or even have become enslaved. After Aragorn is crowned king, he promised Treebeard that the tree ants could prosper again and spread to new lands with the threat of Mordor gone, and renew their search for the tree Entwives. Treebeard lamented that forests may spread, but the tree ants would not, and he predicted that the few remaining tree ants would remain in Fangorn Forest and dwindle or become tree-ish. Oh, wow, that's crazy. I don't know. So I'm guessing there's a concept as to if they stay there and stagnate. Who knows if there's a time frame or something? I don't know. But evidently, they as the years progress or months or whatever, however long it takes, they become more and more tree-like, and they lose the ability to move and talk, and I don't know. What do you guys think? So, and it says, we're going to talk about the last march of the tree ants. The tree ants, angry at Saruman for cutting down their trees, convene an Entmoot. They decide to march on Saruman's fortress at Isengard. The last march of the ants, or tree ants, led by Treebeard and accompanied by the hobbits Meriadoc, Brandybuck, and Peregrine Took. The tree ants numbered about 50, plus an army of Hurons. They destroyed Isengard, tearing down the wall around it. If the great sea had risen in wrath and fallen on the hills with storm, it could have worked no greater ruin. Saruman is trapped in the Tower of Orthanc. Now, I don't know. There's going to be some of you out there, maybe you've never seen the movies and maybe you never read the book. I don't know. But I recommend, for some of this to understand, you to understand it, you probably have to watch the movie a lot. At least get to see some of it. But they didn't dive too deep into the tree ants. Treebeard got a little bit of camera time and all that stuff, but you really have to kind of listen to what's going on there to try to kind of catch a glimpse of some of this stuff we're talking about. Now, etymology. Now, the etymology of this word, the word ent, is from the Old English ent or eoten, meaning giant. Tolkien borrowed the word from a phrase in the Anglo-Saxon poems The Ruin and Maxims 2, Orpank enta Gewiork, cunning work for giants, is what that means. which describes Roman ruins. Now, in Sindarin, one of Tolkien's invented Elvish languages, the word for Ent is Onod, plural is Enid. Now, the Sindarin word, Onodrim, means the Ents are a race. Okay, that's interesting. I don't know. I mean, this dude created his own languages for his book. I mean, if that ain't talented or immersed into his story, I don't know what else is. Now, improving on Shakespeare, we're going to talk about that for a little bit, okay? Now, Tolkien noted in a letter that he had created tree ents in response to his bitter disappointment and disgust from school days with the shabby use made in Shakespeare's Macbeth of the coming of Great Burnham Wood to high Dunsinane Hill. I longed to devise a setting in which the trees might really march to war. The tree ents ensured victory at the Battle of Helm's Deep by herding a forest of angry, tree-like Hurons there to destroy Saruman's army of orcs. Okay. Now, other sources. Now, Nick Groom suggests some other possible sources besides Shakespeare. The Gospel of Mark has the speech by a man cured of blindness. I see men as trees walking. That is in Mark 8:24. Then you have Algernon Blackwood's 1912 story, The Man Whom the Trees Loved, suggests that trees had once been moving things, animal organisms of some sort that had stood so long, feeding, sleeping, dreaming, or something, in the same place that they had lost the power to get away. Which Groom remarks, sounds just like Treebeard's account of tree ents going sleepy and tree-ish. He notes to Arthur Rackham's drawings with bristly, twisted, anthropomorphic trees that appear as the guises of elves and other supernatural beings, while Disney's 1932 Silly Symphony episode Flowers and Trees features trees that walk. See, I mean, there's, we don't think about this stuff, but yeah, it does appear from time to time. Nowadays, probably a lot more so than it did back then. That was probably a really uncommon thing. But hey, if you guys want to, you can look into any of this stuff. If you've never seen the movies, check them out. I recommend it. I liked them. The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and all that. They're all good movies, but they're long. So I'll give you that ahead of time in case you've never seen them. The books, I can only imagine, are far longer because anytime they make a movie, there's a lot cut out from the stories because the book just has so much more. It's so much more immersive. If that makes sense. But anyways, we're going to talk about wish fulfillment and environmentalism. Okay? Now, commentators have observed that having the tree ents march to war against the tree destroyers represented a wish fulfillment on Tolkien's part, concerned as he was with the increasing damage to the English countryside in the 20th century. So, yeah, I guess that could play a part. I mean, whether that's part of it, I don't know. Unless you have the guy sitting there to talk to him, you don't know. Unless there's a recorded, which I think I did have that. He did tell somebody that. I don't think he told him that specifically, but something similar to it, I think. Don't quote me on it because I can't remember correctly. I thought they said something similar to it, but okay. So yeah, he was concerned as he was with the increasing damage to the English countryside in the 20th century. So I'm sure that had an effect on his storytelling and his concept of where he went with the story. I'm sure it probably did, But in their book, Ents, Elves, and Eriador, the environmental vision of J.R.R. Tolkien, Matthew T. Dickerson and Jonathan Evans see Treebeard as vocalizing a vital part of Tolkien's environmental ethic. The need to preserve and look after every kind of wild place, especially forests. Now, Corey Olsen, however, criticizes Dickerson and Evans' use of the Ents tree Ents as mere symbols. Now, mythic value, Song of the Ents and the Entwives, or Tree Ents and Tree Entwives. C.S. Lewis described Tolkien's tale of the Tree Ents as a myth, a story which has a value in itself. Now, Ruth Noel likened the Tree Ents to Germanic legends of huge, wild, hairy wood sprites. Now, that's interesting. A wood sprite, okay. I don't know I'm guessing that's kind of like like a fairy or something. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, now we're going to go into. He's going to say about. This is from the Ent song, or the tree. We're going to call it the Tree Ent song. Okay, copyright reasons. So this would be the Tree Ent. When summer lies upon the world, and in a noon of gold, beneath the roof of sleeping leaves, the dreams of trees unfold. When woodland halls are green and cool, and wind is in the west, come back to me, and say my land is best. Now this is the Tree Entwives part in the song. When summer warms the hanging fruit and burns the berry brown, when straw is gold and ear is white, and harvest comes to town. When honey spills and apple swells, though wind be in the west, I'll linger here beneath the sun because my land is best. Olsen. Now that's the end of that. Now Olsen sees in Tolkien's song of the Tree Ents and the Tree Entwives, supposedly written by elves, compelling insights on the complexities and conflicts of life in a fallen world. I guess you can get deep with it. I'm sure you can try to draw any type of conclusions, really, when it comes to it. But if you really look deep into it, that's really possible, I would say. Now it says the song goes through the 4 seasons of the year, each time with a stanza by the Tree Ent and then one by the Tree Entwife. Olsen comments that the Tree Ent is passive, even languid and somnolent in summer, the only active process being dreaming, whereas the Tree Entwife's summer season is simply bursting with activity. These are perhaps, Olsen reflects, not in competition. Both contemplation and action are valuable ways of celebrating natural beauty. He suggests that Treebeard's view of the song is, however, biased, and that the Tree Ent is not as humble as he claims to be, especially with respect to the Tree Entwives. If the Tree Ents and Tree Entwives were to be unified, they would balance and complete each other. But they face moral dangers without such balance. In the case of the Tree Ents, and the danger is of letting their life in nature lapse into mere lassitude. He gives as examples the apathetic isolationism of Skinbark, who refuses to come out of his hills, and Leaflocks. These are Tree Ent names in the story, I guess. And Leaflocks, somnolent oblivion, just standing in the long grass all summer doing nothing. Olsen calls it a cautionary tale and tragic, quite unlike Treebeard's. In the willow meads of the Tesseranen, again covering the 4 seasons, but which is a lament. Now, Ann Petty comments that the song follows traditional gender stereotypes, the Tree Ents liking wild nature, the Tree Entwives preferring the more domestic realm of tamed nature and gardening. In other media, okay, we're going to talk about it in other media, but tell us what you think about that so far, okay? It's different, we'll go through this, and maybe we can do some rundown real quick if it's not too long. I'm trying to get through this, you guys, so that we can discuss a little bit. Maybe I'll give you some of my ideas on it. Now we're going to talk about in other media. Okay? In Peter Jackson's films, The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers in 2002, and The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King in 2003, Treebeard is a combination of a large animatronic model and a CGI construct. He is voiced by John Rhys Davies, who also portrays Gimli. So he acted as two characters in those movies, Treebeard and Gimli, which was the dwarf. Okay? So if you guys watch it after this, keep that in mind. Think about that. That must be hard having two different characters' lines in the movies. You know what I mean? You got a lot to remember. Okay, now, The Fall of Troy has a song entitled The Last March of the Ents. Okay? On their self-titled debut album released in 2003. Now, permission was granted for a statue of Treebeard by Tim Tolkien near his great-uncle J.R.R. Tolkien's former home in Moseley, Birmingham. The TV series, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, set in the Second Age, features Ents, or tree Ents. Two of the tree Ents that appear in the Season 2 episode, Eldest, are Snaggleroot and Winterbloom, voiced by Jim Broadbent and Olivia Williams. I didn't even know they had a cartoon, but that's cool. Or a TV series. That's pretty cool. Have to check that out, you guys. If you check it out, tell me what you guys think. Now, in popular culture. Now, tree Ents appeared in the earliest edition of the role-playing game Dungeons & Dragons in the 1974 white box set, where they were described as tree-like creatures, able to command trees and lawful in nature. In 1975, Elon Merchandising, which owned the game license to the Tolkien estate, issued a cease and desist order regarding the use of the word Ent. We're going to use tree Ent, okay? Save us some flack. So the Dungeons & Dragons creatures were renamed tree Ents, okay? They were renamed tree Ents because of the copyright. Heroes of Might and Magic 5 includes tree Ents as a part of the Elven Alliance. However, due to copyright infringement issues, their look was changed between the beta phase and the retail version, making them quadrupedal. Okay. Gosh, you guys. Let's rewind. Let's kick it back. All right. What do you guys think about that? The possible encounter. Was it a tree Ent? Was it an alien creature? Was it a multidimensional being? What do you think it was? I mean, let's be honest here. What do you think? Me, myself, I'm a little confused on that one because I don't know. I mean, at least from what I gather from what a tree Ent's supposed to be, I don't suspect it would be able to just be limbless. I mean, at least from the images that you see, they look like a person, basically, just long tree branches, like their arms and legs. You know, now I don't know. Could they pull the limbs in and just be a trunk of a tree and telescope in? I mean, that's because that's what the guy was explaining on there. It telescoped into itself, and it moved very swiftly, very quickly, and went down the mountain. So, I mean, and the fella said it wasn't a snake, but it telescoped into itself. It looked like a tree without branches. So it's like a tree trunk, like, you know, the main part of the tree. And it took up the width of the road. So that was probably that was a big tree if it was a tree, but trees don't telescope into themselves, right? So it was 3 foot round at one end and the other was blunt. So what was it? I mean, could it be an alien, I don't know, an alien worm that kind of resembles a tree, camouflaged to look like one or something like that? I mean, I don't know. Obviously, he said it wasn't a snake. I mean, if this is a woodsman that goes out in the woods regularly, they know what a snake looks like. So, And they're asking questions too. They want to know any ideas to what they saw. They're clueless to it too. But I thought y'all would find that kind of interesting to see that encounter. That's a strange one. But it threw me off. I didn't expect to see some kind of a possible encounter of a tree ant. So, hey, I'll throw it in here, make it a little more interesting for you guys. You know what I mean? Now, let's see here. What else? Let's back it up. Okay, now, yeah, of course, majority of this stuff is all about, Lord of the Rings and all that. But that is because J.R.R. Tolkien is the one that created the story he created the different languages and all that stuff and all of that. So I just think that it's wild that a man can create a story and all the different languages for the different characters. Like, literally sit down and created the different languages. That is insurmountable time put into that. It's amazing. So, I mean, as that saying goes, you take pride in your work. That man did, evidently. He took a lot of pride in it because he put a lot of time and effort into it, which is why such a good story. It really is when you step back and you think about it. And you can actually, if you want to dig deep and get into deeper meanings as to what they can mean for us in society today and this and that, the different cultures and things like that. Yeah, you probably could. I mean, you can draw all kind of pardon me. You can draw all kind of conclusions to it. You know what I mean? When you really dig into it. But I didn't know there was even a song for it. I had no idea, you guys. The etymology of the word, and we got to learn about how it came to be. How he come up with that. It's just a lot. It's really amazing. And you got even people, they're talking about a verse in the Bible, Mark 8:24. Talking about, the man that was cured of blindness. I see men as trees walking. I wonder why he said that. It kind of makes you think a little bit, doesn't it? Makes me think about it. I mean, I didn't know that. Now we do. So, yeah, I mean, obviously the characters that was drawn up and devised as in the story itself, yeah, they were supposed to be sluggish and slow, and like they said with them going to the meeting, they thought 3 days was being too rash about things. So yeah, I would imagine if they literally stay there and they're posing as a tree for who knows how long, who knows how often they move places and maybe go around, but they're supposed to be tree herders, right? So a herder's going to walk around and check the trees, you would think. So how long they stay in one position, who knows? But you guys tell me your comments on that. What do you guys think? I mean, do you think they stay in a single place? Do you think they exist? Do you think they don't exist? Do you think this guy had encountered one? I mean, what do you think? I'm a little baffled on that one too. But yeah, I think it could be a possibility he did encounter one. Although it, like I said, didn't have the branches on it. It was just the stump, but the telescoping into itself, and that kind of throws me off a little bit. Makes me wonder what really was that. He said the kid wanted to investigate, but he thought they better not, because as big as that thing was and as fast as it moved, it's probably better off leave it alone. Because something like that, you're definitely not going to be prepared for. You're prepared for bear or wolves or whatever's in that area, but you didn't prepare for that. That's for certain. So what do you guys think? Throw it down below. Let me and Noodle know. We're interested. We want to know what you guys think about it. What do you think it was? And do you think they are something that could exist in the woodlands that we don't know about? I mean, there's a lot of acreage of woods that we haven't explored. Think of it that way. So before you come to a judgment and say, this is nonsense, blah, blah, blah. Step back, like, listen to all the information I'm giving here, what little bit I had, and come to your own conclusion. Think about it. I mean, who are we to say that, certain creatures don't exist? You can't refute it because you can't prove that it doesn't exist. Same as they can't prove that it does exist unless they have the proof. Now, I mean, there are some encounters with certain things. People have video, they have pictures of things, But even if you have it, they're still going to refute it because they're going to tell you, oh, no, that's doctored up. That's this, and that, blah, blah, blah. Nowadays, you have to do 10 times the legwork to try to even get people to believe anything. It's not... Because there is a lot of ability for people to, make fake stuff now. I mean, it's a known fact. So you guys think about that. Tell us what you think. And we'll talk to you on the next one. All right. As I say on this channel, live, laugh, and love. Because tomorrow isn't promised to anybody. Y'all have a good one. Talk to you later.